Okay, let's get into this. We're looking at a situation that really feels like a sharp turn, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Going from this, like, widely known social media figure, collaborations, the whole thing.
Right, to suddenly facing pretty serious legal issues. It caught a lot of people off guard.
Definitely. And for this deep dive, we're honing in on one specific source. It's a YouTube commentary video.
From Moshe Duke Jackson's channel, yeah. The title is, "Haha Davis Ends His Career After Doing This."
That's the one. So
Okay.
just to be clear up front for you listening, our whole goal here is to pull out what this specific video alleges, the details it presents, and crucially, the opinions and the analysis from that commentator.
Exactly. We're not bringing in outside stuff, not verifying facts, not giving our own opinions. We're just laying out the narrative constructed in this source.
It's about understanding the story that commentator tells about Haha Davis, his relationship as the commentator sees it, and this domestic violence arrest.
Okay, so let's start where the source starts. Haha Davis himself. The video paints a picture of him coming up, from Detroit.
Right, from the streets, it says,
Yeah.
and building his online thing over, like, a decade.
The commentator calls him a household name, particularly in the Black community.
And then mentions his reach, working with everybody, getting deals, shows, that kind of stuff.
And that catchphrase is key in the video's description. The toot that ass up on that beeline.
Yeah, the source links it back to an older skit, maybe 2021, involving a toilet, apparently.
Okay. Then the source brings in someone else, Melly,
Mhm.
or ridiculously bomb. Is that her online note?
Ridiculously bomb, yeah, with 2 Bs. The commentator notes seeing her in Davis's skits first, sort of every now and again.
And then it became more frequent.
Yeah, the source says it got to almost every skit or a lot of skits.
So the commentator shares some details from her social media page.
Mentions 386 posts and a pretty big following, 373,000. Describes her as good to look at and apparently doing a lot of booty clapping.
The source also points out she's listed as a massage therapist on her profile.
Right, and this detail seems important to the commentator later. Her profile bio says, "I like girls who like girls."
And there's an OnlyFans mention too.
Yeah, the commentator notes she has one. Says he didn't click it, but he, quote, circled it.
Okay, so from introducing her, the video moves pretty quickly into assumptions about their relationship, doesn't it?
It does. Just based on them being in skits together, the commentator assumes they're, or were, together.
And this leads him to talk about some alleged past conversation.
Exactly. He recounts the story he heard where Haha Davis supposedly admitted to, the source calls it some level of booty clappers behavior between his chick and some other chicks.
Wow, okay. And how does the source claim this started?
According to the commentary, Melly supposedly initiated it to, quote, spice up the relationship, brought someone home.
And Haha Davis's alleged reaction in the story.
The source says he asked, "Why is she in the bed with us?" Then kind of just laid there, let them do their thing, and only joined in when she supposedly said, "Come on." The commentator's read on this is that Davis was secretly, quote, hyped and just waiting.
And the commentator connects this directly back to Melly because of her profile bio.
Yeah, he makes that link. Because her profile says she likes girls, he assumes she must have been involved in that specific scenario he described. It's an inference he makes.
Right. Okay, so then the video kind of pivots hard to the recent news.
Yeah, abruptly. Talks about Davis going viral again, but, like the commentator says, for being behind bars for no laughing matter.
The domestic violence accusation.
Exactly. The source gives the legal details known then, his real name, Carlos Davis, arrested by Utica police on a Friday.
Held at Macomb County Jail, right?
Yeah.
On a $5,000 cash bond.
And the video points out that, at that time, investigators hadn't released much more. Victim wasn't named. Circumstances weren't clear.
So this lack of info is what leads the commentator to do his own digging, so to speak.
Yeah, he calls it his investigative work, describes checking Instagram, looking for Haha Davis in Melly's followers, and her name in his followers.
Standard social media sleuthing, then.
Yeah.
What did he find?
He concluded they had unfollowed each other.
Okay.
And based purely on that. The commentator says, definitely seems that they unfollowed each other, and so his conclusion is Davis must allegedly did the DV against her.
That's quite a leap based just on unfollowing someone.
It's the inference the commentator makes in the video, yeah. He also looked at their recent stories.
What did he find there?
According to him, Haha Davis was posting, but, quote, none of this has anything to do with her.
Okay, and Melly.
Her stories, post about 19 hours before he checked, apparently had texts like, "I have anger issues because I'm so calm," and another one, "Your best relationship is gonna be with me, you stupid bee."
Interesting phrasing. And the commentator sees these
As, quote, taking some level of shots or subliminals at Davis. He also throws in that he saw kids on her page, suggesting she could be a single mother.
Right, just another detail he observed.
Yeah, and all this basically serves as a launch pad for the commentator's broader critique, not just of them, but relationships generally.
Starting with questioning why Haha Davis would date an OnlyFans model.
That's a major point for him, yeah. He brings up this idea of value in a relationship.
He references another creator, Shots by Darion, is it?
Uh-huh. And their video about reasons not to date an OnlyFans girl, the question, "What do you bring to the table?" comes up.
And this commentator's view is that Millie, or maybe OnlyFans creators generally, don't bring value.
Explicitly, he says OnlyFans, quote, "is not going to help me and it's not going to help you in the long run." That's his perspective on value.
He also compares this situation to others.
Yeah, he mentions Zay and Cooking with Kaya. Sees a parallel there, a more famous guy putting on a woman who then, in his view, behaves badly, like twerking on dudes.
It's interesting because while he inferred Davis was the aggressor earlier,
Right. He also floats the other possibility. He says, maybe it could be that she's the one that hit your ass and she called the police on you. He doesn't commit fully, I guess?
so it feels like he's using this specific situation to make a much bigger point.
Absolutely. It leads into his main argument about what he calls the clapper mentality.
Okay, explain that based on a source.
He argues men get involved with women who have this clapper mentality, which he ties directly to OnlyFans.
And his theory is that men promote these women, or put them on.
Because they're putting it on you, meaning sexually. And men mistake this attention or physical intimacy for respect.
But the commentator argues that's wrong.
Yeah, he says the reality, in his view, is, quote, "that girl doesn't have a lot of respect for you, and you don't have a lot of respect for yourself. And that's why it ends badly."
He uses some pretty strong language around this, doesn't he?
Oh, definitely. Talks about men having booty-clapping addictions, coins terms like clipology, joking about clapathon tech.
All right, really leaning into that specific framing.
He's making a point, very vividly, about what he sees as a damaging fixation for some men.
So the commentator's overall conclusion on relationships, based on this.
It's pretty blunt. He says relationships like the one he's described, quote, "never work out."
And the solution, in his view.
Men need to start picking women who are, quote, "right for us." Women who genuinely want the relationship itself, not just someone who, well, his words again, gives great booty-clapping sounds in bed.
Okay, so let's just quickly recap the path we took through this one source.
Sure. We started with how the video portrayed Haha Davis's fame, then explored the relationship dynamics and the specific alleged incidents as presented and, importantly, inferred by the commentator.
Then the legal trouble, the domestic violence arrest, and how the commentator do his own investigative work online.
Right, leading into his much broader analysis and critique focused on relationship choices, OnlyFans, and this concept of value in the clapper mentality.
And again, just to underline it for you listening, this entire deep dive was focused only on the info and the viewpoint inside that specific YouTube video. We presented the claims, the assumptions, the opinions as they appeared there.
Exactly. So thinking about everything laid out in this source, especially the commentator's really strong views on relationships, value, social media platforms like OnlyFans.
Yeah.
It kind of makes you wonder, doesn't it, how platforms that monetize certain kinds of content might shape how relationships are seen, not just by the people in them, but by commentators watching from the outside.
That's a good point. And what is this commentator's very specific, quite blunt take on what value means in a partner? But especially his critique involving OnlyFans make you think about, modern expectations around relationships, or even just how publicly these things get dissected online.